have warned me.
It just popped up and said live.
Yeah, no, you could have said something. I'm Kathy.
I'm Keith.
And we are.
He said.
She said. Maybe. It says it failed to play the intro, but the last 3 times that I've stopped it and started again, it's gone on and done it again. But if you missed the intro, sorry.
What? Go ahead and play it.
I don't want to play it again.
Okay.
Did you push the go button?
Nope.
Did you do anything?
Nope.
Except laugh at me?
I showed up and smiled and looked pretty. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
You're supposed to be the tech guy. We've had this conversation. You are the tech guy.
Yeah. If it was
Scoot over.
If it was analog.
Ah. Who's Ann? And why does she have a log?
I can't tell you here.
So, for those of you who don't know or don't want to know, because God love you, I don't blame you one bit. He asks a question and we both answer it. I ask a question and we both answer it. And then you get to ask a question and we'll both answer it. And hopefully Keith won't end up passed out on the floor again.
I've done that since the early 90s.
Well, you moaned and groaned and complained like you had knocked yourself out on the floor.
Because you shoved me out of my chair.
Nope. Still not falling for it.
Shoved me
Not falling
to the
for
floor.
it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Video proof.
Video lies.
Video does not lie.
Yes, it does. If you fall onto the floor and you down there going, oh. That doesn't mean that the force of my push got you there.
That is not what I did.
It means that you weren't paying attention.
That's because I was doing that, and you shoved me while I was, which is not fair.
Whose fault is that?
Yours. You pushed me.
Yours, because you were trying to annoy me.
No, I wasn't
Guess what?
trying to annoy you.
It worked.
I was being humorous.
Only to yourself. See what happens. So, first question.
I asked, what was your favorite Halloween costume and why?
Well, I could say Little Bo Peep.
That's what I was going to.
Because that's when you asked me to marry you, but that wasn't it.
It only seems like 877 years ago that I made that wonderful choice. I had a head full of hair then.
Favorite ever is the Larry Boy costume that I made for our son because it required so much creativity to get the suction cup ears. So that is my
awesome
all-time favorite costume. Of course, all the VeggieTale costumes that I made were fun costumes.
Bob the Tomato.
Mm-hmm. Archibald.
That's right. That was a tough one.
Yeah, well, it was a heavy one.
Yes.
It was heavy.
Our little kids were like, clunk.
Yeah. Because
top heavy.
Asparagus has that. Yeah. Anyway, and then the Larry Boy costume. Larry Boy was my favorite costume.
Larry Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Boy.
I liked being able to make the costumes. I liked Cal's choice of, I liked our oldest son's choice of.
Not supposed to out him.
I don't ever use their names. Frodo.
It's actually not his name.
Because not only did he choose the costume and he helped put the costume together, but then we got to mutilate one of his toys in order to get the hair to glue. We glued hair on the top of his feet so that he had hobbit feet.
What toy did you mutilate?
The lion. We took some of the lion hair and glued it to his feet so he would
maneless.
And we didn't take all of it. We just took enough to make him a hobbit feet. So those are two of the creative ones are always my favorites.
How about my intent was, yes, discussion of
Costumes.
costuming, yes.
But you meant me personally?
Yes. Was there one in growing up or
when
as
I
an
was
adult?
in college, I went to a fraternity party as Medusa.
And you used your own hair.
I actually wove plastic snakes we braided plastic snakes into my hair.
Yep.
And then painted the rest of me green, and I had a green toga.
You got any photos of that?
I do not have not that I know of. This back before
anybody out there that has photos of my wife from University of South Alabama Halloween, where she was
89, I believe
green Medusa.
It was cool. That was a fun one.
Anybody out there has photos of my wife in the gold lame bikini? Please, for all that's good and undecent,
Keith Lang,
send them to me.
Now it's your turn.
My favorite costume.
costume.
My favorite costume was when you used to wear the gold
you lay in the floor, and it's all gonna be on you.
Bikini.
I am sitting on three.
A good reason why I liked the gold lame bikini
of the history books that are about this thick, and don't think I won't get off of this box set of history books and knock you in the head with it, because I will.
You couldn't knock me out more than you did,
Keith Lang.
In that gold.
If you don't answer your question,
bikini.
I'm gonna ding you, and you're not gonna get to do anything.
What's the question?
I'm not telling you.
I've gotten distracted.
That's your own fault.
I have a wonderful imagination.
You have a repetitive imagination.
Yep. My favorite costume.
Yes.
Well, I was going to mention right off the bat exactly what you mentioned. Okay. You mentioned Little Bo Peep, and I was
a sheep.
A sheep. We
because I wandered around the party going, have you seen my sheep?
I rented a sheep costume, and Kathy got a costume from the whole backstage
and made it into a Little Bo Peep.
It was a Little Bo Peep. Yep. It was quite lovely. And we went to a wonderful little costume party down at Auburn University.
Mm-hmm. I believe it was hosted by John, wasn't it?
I'm not sure whose home it was.
I'm pretty sure it was
Hig. It was the Albertville group of folks, and Hig and some Gunnersville people tagged along.
Yep.
And we drove home that night, and it began to snow.
Yep.
In Auburn.
In October.
In October.
It was October 30th.
Yeah, October 30th. Because the very next night we went in the exact same costumes to the galley.
Yep.
At Jacksonville State.
And we had some friends that went with us.
Yes, Lori
and Tom.
No,
we didn't go in the same costumes.
Tom went with us.
Yeah, we didn't go in the same costumes.
Tom went with us
because you went in your you went as a hippie, and you painted a big
That's
sign.
Right.
And I did not go as Little Bo Peep.
No, even better, the French maid costume.
Oh, so. That's it for that. Let's go.
Pay her to dust my shelves.
Do you have a commercial to share with the folks? Because it's
over.
Time for our commercial break.
That's time for a breakdown. Do I have a commercial?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you have a break?
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
no, that would be a dance, and we don't do that. We don't do that on regular TV. Regular internet.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's been a while.
Okay, go ahead. Jump on it. You got 6 seconds.
6 seconds. Get Catherine C. Lang's trilogy, Mystery Rock, Book 1.
I'm Catherine C. Lang.
Secret of the Mounds, Book 2. And just out this year, Shadow in the Cave.
I finally finished it so he would quit complaining. Did you know that Mystery Rock was actually a National Novel Writing Month edition? That's how I got
I
started with
should have
those.
remembered that.
That's how I got started with those.
And that's what's going on this month.
That is. And I am
That's
already,
a good, see, I didn't even realize it.
I
That's
already,
a good reason to have promoted those.
Yep.
You can get those at Amazon.com. You
Mhm.
can go to her website and www.catherinelang.com. Make the purchase. Keith and Kathy and their children travel from the Gulf Coast of Florida, Gulf Shores.
Mom and Dad were never named. I just
Were
outed
never
the-
named?
I just
Mom
outed.
and Dad, huh?
Yeah, I just outed the kids.
Oh, yeah. You use their names.
Oh. So, yeah, check them out.
Travel from the Gulf Coast all the way back up here to North Alabama and to a
Through the mounds and into the caves.
all real places you can visit.
Yep.
Historically accurate,
So
fictionalized.
now we're
story.
going to move on to something a little more motivational. She asks, how do you find the motivation to do something even when you don't want to?
She makes me. That's your motivation enough.
Trying to make up for earlier so you don't lay knocked out. Shut up. Nobody asked you.
You knocked me out. Mama said knock you out.
Do you have an answer
I'm going to knock you out.
for real? Because you want to get up every morning and go walk the dog.
How do you find the motivation to do something even when you don't want to?
Your Bible study, walking the dog, walking in the mornings,
There's a
sitting here with me.
dog on it. I hate to say it.
See, it is me.
No. Surprise, it's not all about you.
Hey,
Uh,
you're wrong.
it's about enjoying the journey, not the destination.
See, that is me. That's all me.
I had to learn. That's only because it's the answer that you want. Otherwise, you'd say I was wrong.
I was wondering. I mean, seriously, I did wonder because you are not a always a self-starter in the mornings.
No.
You growl. But
I have a better relationship with God,
yes, here as of
and
late,
that has
you've done much
caused-
better.
and that has caused, but it's because I began intentionally reading the Bible in 2019 all the way through, if January 1st through December 14th or 15th,
You
depending
saw
on
that.
how the beginning of the year falls.
Mhm.
And this is year 4.
Yep.
And I started the Love God, Love Others
You can find it on his Facebook page.
on my Facebook page, where I go in and I ask everyone to find one main point or quote from the each chapter, and they
Mhm.
read 4 chapters a day. And I always highly suggest that you start with the New Testament, because that's the new promise, the new covenant, once Christ comes, and it's much more applicable. Yeah. The Old Testament is historically necessary for the follow through of the New Testament, but I have found a motivation,
Good. And
I have created a new lifestyle.
so you found your motivation through your relationship with the Word.
Yes,
So
because it's the only thing. I just said it in the one that I put out there today. One example is King Solomon says that everything is meaningless without a right relationship with God.
Yep. Paul says
And
that too.
Paul comes really close.
Yeah.
He's saying
It's
that
all dung.
unless Well, I haven't made it to that part yet. Yeah, I love those.
It's all dung.
But it's one good story though. There is Paul has cast out an evil spirit from somebody, and then somebody else, one of the Jews, one of the chief priest's sons, tries to cast an evil spirit out.
7 of them.
And seven sons, but it says one of them tried to cast a spirit out, and the spirit says, I know who Jesus is, and I have heard of Paul, but who are you? And he slapped them around and
Slapped them naked.
Run them out of the house, bleeding and naked.
Yep. So
I love reading Bible stories like that.
How do I find my motivation?
When you can just bust out laughing.
I come in the room and see that he hung up the backdrop, so I have to do he said, she said, and he didn't forget like I thought.
It's Tuesday night at 6:00.
I know, but I had actually messaged Vicky and said, I'm waiting to see if he remembers it's Tuesday at 6. And I came in here and the backdrop was up. I was like, man,
I was motivated.
So that is usually, unfortunately, I said he could be the accountability of this partnership, and he's holding me accountable.
I'm attempting to hold her accountable.
You have been holding me accountable.
Attempting to hold you accountable.
See, it's not all rainbows and lollipops. Sometimes it's dung.
I told you, storm clouds and turds.
Yep. So it's about that time again.
What time is it?
It's about that time to take a break.
Oh, excuse me.
And I figure since we were talking about National Novel Writing Month and the books that I wrote for National Novel Writing Month, I would mention to everyone that November is National Novel Writing Month. And the goal is to write 50,000 words on a book, a new book, in just 50,000 words. That's 1,767 words a day on a new book. Or if you want to be a nano rebel, you can work on a book in progress or a nonfiction book. So I have jumped in. I woke up this morning with...
and I heard a disturbing sound.
Yes, the Toys R Us song was stuck in my head. I have no idea why.
I don't know. They're supposed to be opening stores back up.
But I couldn't get rid of the commercial jingle. And so I decided to write it into my Nano this year. And I also I'm also going to finish Hide, which is the follow-up to They.
That's creepy.
But the great thing about NaNoWriMo
HIDE
is that you work with other people to stay accountable and get done what you need to get done. Because sometimes we need that accountability, right? Even if he sits next to you.
We all need, yes,
dung.
2 words.
Dung.
Personal accountability.
Dung head. That's good. Oh. I was doing this yesterday. You remember that, right?
I only told her I hated her 4 times yesterday.
I laughed till I cried twice.
That's a record.
I laughed till I cried, and then I caught my breath, and then I laughed again the same way.
She was doing it intentionally yesterday.
No, it was funny. It was so funny because it annoyed you so bad.
Question 3.
Yeah, you ask.
I didn't. Somebody did. What is the dumbest way you've ever gotten hurt?
You get to go first. Other than when you annoyed your wife.
You mean, yeah, other than when you shoved me out of the chair several episodes ago?
You should have been paying attention.
You shouldn't shove people.
That's on you.
It's inappropriate.
That's on you.
We learned in kindergarten, hands to yourself.
You remember that later.
Hands to yourself.
Y'all all heard it. Got video proof.
Hands to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the dumbest way I've ever gotten hurt. I can tell you the 3 ways that come directly to mind. Let's start at my youngest age. I'm not sure. I was probably 7 or 8. It was while I still lived at
It's not a test. Just say.
At-
Just say how you got hurt.
at Snow Point.
Just.
I was looking down on my swing set from my tree house, and next thing I knew, I landed on the top of my head in the, you used to have them where there was like a swing
So you
and a swing.
leaned over
let me
until
finish.
you fell out of your
There's a
own
swing
tree house.
and a swing, and then you had a where 2 people could be in the swing. It had a seat and a platform on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my head dented. So I hit just flat down on my head from probably 10, 12 feet up.
I explained so much.
Well, not as much as the next one. In the neighborhood I lived in Hickory Hills in Guntersville, they were building a new house down the way. And there was a piece of rebar hanging off the top of the concrete blocks. So I jumped up and grabbed the piece of rebar, not realizing that all that was holding it up was a concrete block, and the concrete block fell and hit me right. Everything's backwards on here, right there with the point, and it started
Only
bleeding,
thing backwards is you.
bleeding down my face. And so I ran down the block and turned the spigot on and stuck my head up under the faucet until it quit bleeding. And I still have a little scar right there to this day. Right there.
So what's the third one? You're out of time. You just have to say that for another day.
That would be the one where you wake up and go, what happened? And you really don't know.
I've never had that happen.
I wouldn't suggest it.
I tell people that I did not have a guardian angel. I had a guardian battalion. And
That's how they work.
They had to work in shifts. So the only time I was ever injured to the point I had to go to the doctor was.
Well, it doesn't count.
Was
Your grandfather was Dr. Alvis.
Yes, but the doctor.
You got hit with a rock right there.
Yeah.
And he just tied your hair.
So I wouldn't have to he didn't want him to shave my head. That was not the dumbest way
stitches.
I ever got hurt. That's the dumbest way anyone ever hurt me. Jason Davis. If you know him, it was his fault. He was mad. I stole his brother's shoe, and Kay Scruggs and I were playing keep away with the shoe, and he threw a rock and hit me in the head. But that's the dumbest way I was.
And
someone
that
else.
explains a lot.
Yeah, that you shouldn't annoy your wife.
You should question the people you date and see
steps.
how many times they've been hit in the head.
I was jumping off steps.
Which steps?
To see how many steps I could jump. And I twisted my ankle.
Which steps?
Becky Matthews steps. At a spend the night party. I had to be on crutches in the fourth grade.
Is that on
fourth grade?
That's not Brown Street. What street is that?
Winston Street.
Winston Street.
Yep. I was in fourth grade. Had to be on crutches. So, but other than that,
wanted to see how many steps you could jump.
And I should have been injured multiple times between jumping off bridges, cliffs.
You think you would have learned something about steps after that?
Yeah, you don't let somebody put their arm around you because apparently that jinxes you into falling down brick steps. But I didn't get hurt. I mean, other than my pride. But climbing trees, hanging from. I could shimmy up I will punch you. Shimmy up a birdhouse. You know, the big, tall 40-foot birdhouses that sat on those teeny tiny poles. I could shimmy up them and look in to see if there were birds in them.
Imagine so.
So I climbed everything.
Since you could climb door frames.
Door frames, put my feet up on the ceiling when I was 4. So It was a miracle. That's why I said I always had a guardian battalion, not a guardian angel.
That was the worst.
That was the worst.
The dumbest
Yeah, it was also the worst.
way that you
That's
got
the only time I was ever on crutches. I didn't have to go to the emergency
Really?
room ever. I had
I
never.
spent middle school on crutches. Of
Mm-mm.
course, that's when I learned how to do gymnastics with Coach Johnson at Carlisle Park.
Nope, never had been to the emergency room until I was pregnant with our first child. That was the first time I'd ever been to the emergency room. Well, no, I take that back. College. When I got food poisoning. I got to go twice.
They called her Odie.
Yeah, I had a friend, or I was at the commissary there in the middle of the dorms, and a guy walked in and said, did y'all hear about that girl ODing last year at the beginning of the year? I said, she didn't OD. She's fine. That's why they called me Odie.
They called her Odie ever since.
Because they had to tote me out in an ambulance. So there you have it. Your favorite Halloween costume,
Yep.
motivation, and
the
stupidity.
dumbest
And
way
now
you've ever gotten hurt.
now y'all know so much about why Keith is like he is. Because you've been landing on your head since you were 7.
Oh, at least.
No telling how many times you were dropped as a child.
It's not funny.
It's supposed to be good luck. So
I bounced on. You used to be able to buy.
all kids bounce at that age.
That's why they're squishy like that. That's why kids are squishy. You used to be able to buy. It's kind of like a mini tramp.
Yeah.
It was a tractor tire inner tube
Yeah.
with a mat that wrapped around it.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
You
about.
remember those?
I didn't have one.
You didn't have one of those?
No.
I was bouncing on one inside the house and the coffee table that we first had. I still have a scar right here where I bounced
all
off
right.
and
So,
hit my chin.
If
on
y'all
the
want to
coffee table.
connect with us or with me, because obviously you don't want to connect with him, just check us out at pqproductions.com. We have coaching sessions, we have courses, and of course, we have links to other material. And you can find me over at catherinelang.com, or I think I have a Facebook link. Growing Hope. This is my podcast, my daily podcast. We're discussing the strength of hope right now. We're powering up our hope so that we'll be ready for the holidays. growinghoperadio.com.
You mean Thanksgiving? Powering up for Thanksgiving?
All the holiday season. If I say the holiday season, I mean all the holidays that are coming.
Why?
That would be
I'm
Halloween.
not supposed to mention any of them except for Thanksgiving at the moment because we just finished Halloween.
Are you done?
Yep.
Join me for Growing Hope Radio at growinghoperadio.com. Or you can find me on Twitter at Catherine C. Lang. I'll be hosting the Growing Hope Twitter chat. Just follow the hashtag. Watch this.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
Drum roll.
Ta-da. Growing Hope.
Hashtag Growing Hope. So
All
these are all about to become umbrellaed under Peculiar Productions.
They are, some of them are already, and they continue to be. And we are growing and expanding Peculiar Productions. So reach out if you need us.
That's going to be our umbrella.
Until next time,
heading.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Keith.
We are.
He said.
She said.